Good morning, everyone. Virgo Triad here. It is May 9th, 2019, and I hope everybody's having a great week. I am going to read you an article that is extremely important right now. And I'm going to read this article because it pertains to another update that I'm providing for you guys this morning. But before I do that, I want to mention a couple of things. The first thing I want to let you know is that I had a computer crash a couple of evenings ago, which is why you didn't see me put up a video yesterday. And due to that, you're going to notice that there are pictures and things that are taken out of this article for safety reasons while I'm still basically rebuilding my system. However, I am going to link this in the description so you guys can pull it up in its entirety. And that way you can see the pictures of these 5 sovereign citizens that are guilty of waging paper war. I am also going to let you know that if you recall, back about 3 weeks ago, I had done a video about a gentleman, or for lack of a better word, paralegal that April Lejeune was working with. Interestingly enough, what I'm about to read in this article is exactly what that person threatened to do to the Virgo Triad channel. See, these individuals that believe that they can file false liens, again, which would be a UCC1 financial statement, against people, are now starting to find themselves in a whole lot of hot water, and a lot of them are ending up in prison, some of them as long as 15 years for doing it. So I wanted to make sure I read this to you, and even though this is about a year old, this is a good example of the reasons why we need to pay very close attention to what these sovereigns and Moorish people are doing. And you'll see that when I'm done and I go into my second update this morning. So let's get into it. 5 sovereign citizens guilty of waging paper war against East Tennessee officials. 5 self-styled sovereign citizens who reject government authority and believe that they're above the law were convicted this week of retaliating against East Tennessee public officials by filing bogus multi-million-dollar liens against their properties. Among them, Lee Harold Cromwell, the Oak Ridge man who killed one person and injured several others when he drove a pickup truck in reverse through a crowd of 200 people during a July 4, 2015 fireworks show at AK Bizzle Park. He was sentenced in June to 12 years in prison in that case, but not before he complicated matters by filing liens against prosecutors, the Oak Ridge chief of police, the county clerk, various officers who worked the crash, and the judge who had to recuse himself. Cromwell's ploy apparently prompted a crackdown. He and 9 others were indicted in February of 2017. On Monday, Cromwell, Austin Gary Cooper, Christopher Allen Hauser, Ronald James Lyons, and James Michael Usinger were convicted on a total of 204 counts of filing fraudulent liens and of forgery over $250,000, according to a news release from Anderson County District Attorney General Dave Clark. Sentencing is stated for June 27th. Each man faces a minimum of 15 years in prison, and the release states. Okay, obviously that has already happened. I can give you some additional information if you would like on where to locate that information in terms of what each person ended up getting as far as terms in prison. But there is a reason why I am actually reading this particular article, and you'll see what that is in just a minute. Waging paper warfare is a common tactic among members of the sovereign citizen movement, which of course includes the Moorish movement. As we know, they subscribe a lot to the exact same type of bizarre belief system. Whose bizarre belief system is a mishmash of convoluted conspiracy theories, discredited legal arguments, and baseless rumors that are posted online. Believers are convinced that the U.S. government is illegitimate and that they can exempt themselves from the law by reciting indecipherable legal jargon. They ignore government rules, refuse to pay taxes, and deny the authority of police officers, judges, juries, and elected officials. Okay, on to the reason behind why I read this article. Some of you may recall, Some of you may recall that I did a video not long ago about this Moorish American couple that were held on trial for risking catastrophe and gun charges. You may remember that they actually had a whole bunch of batteries along with gasoline, and they were hooked up to a generator in order to have electricity in their home. And the bank had actually tried to foreclose on them a year prior, but then that particular security agreement for the home mortgage had been sold to another group, which ended up having to ultimately file for eviction on them, and they ended up having to serve these people. And when they did, they located this horrible collection of 10 car batteries or more, the gasoline, and there were kids in the house. If it had blown up or something had happened, it would have not only done damage to the entire neighborhood, but both neighbors on both sides. And there was a whole news article on it that is on my channel, which I will link in the description so that you can see that again if you need to. Well, the party that is actually the female out of this group, her name is Sharon Tracy Gale Bay. She runs a Facebook page called the Moorish Temple Consulate. I think you guys will find this very interesting. She listed something on her Facebook page, and she actually put it underneath a video that she made, in which I will also link so that you guys can actually go over and look at her video if you would like to. She did an hour-long video talking about the fact that she was going to, or had already, filed liens against the district attorney and against the judge in the case that was arraigned yesterday. Now, we have not heard, or that I'm aware of, there has not been an update on what occurred. She's out on bail right now, in which she had to collect $5,000 because her bail was $50,000. And her accomplice is currently still in jail because his bond or bail was set at $250,000, and they weren't able to collect that amount of donations to get him out. But as it stands right now, this group that I just got through reporting on a couple of weeks ago, she's out on bail. She's on YouTube incriminating herself, yelling and screaming about the fact that she is the one who's in charge. She's indigenous to the land, and therefore she has the right to tell the fake judge and district attorney, or prosecuting attorney, I'm not sure which one, that they have to stop. They can't proceed. They can't do a damn thing to her for endangering the neighborhood or endangering 2 young children under the age of 12. They can't do anything to her because she is an empress, a Moorish empress, according to her. And so therefore, they must cease and desist and leave her alone and dismiss this case and let her friend, Mr. Pitts, go. I'm going to take you over there so that I could read that to you right now. Okay, here we go. The Moorish American Consulate, Northeastern Territory. And I'm only going to read you this part of it. I'll link it in the description so that you guys can go ahead and take a look at it for yourself. But obviously this is under copyright protection, so I can't just play it for you here. Islam nobility is what she believes she is. Court of Common Pleas of Delaware County, Sharon Tracy Gale Bay, and Decory Christopher Pitts L., Moorish American Sovereign Nationals, making a special appearance. Sound familiar? To clear up the mistaken identity under corporate wards as, and then she repeats both names, both upper and lowercase, of course, because she believes one is a corporate fiction. Tomorrow, the 8th of May, 2019 at 8 a.m., located care of, and then she has the address here. And let me just say that this video was made yesterday, or day before yesterday, May 7th, and yesterday was the actual arraignment, supposedly, which I do not have information on how that turned out yet. I don't believe that this jargon is going to turn out well for her, but I don't think there was any talking her down from it either. This states it's listed as a formal arraignment. That would be what it was called. Anne Buradaco has waived it and is currently no administrator acting as judge is listed. The unlawful corporate ward presenting as attorney, which we have commanded them to cease and desist through the international writ of removal with arrest orders for all bar members who record number MACN R, a buttload of zeros, 8, downloadable from the website moorishamericanconsulate.org, is in process, but her boss, Catillon M. Copeland, has already all administrators. The plaintiff in the papers is the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which is a corporation that I liened. See Moorish American Consulate record number MACNR, bunch of zeros, 49, downloadable from the Facebook group. Let me just say this. The article that I just read to you guys is telling you that out of the 5 sovereigns, okay, that they were found guilty on more than 240 felonies for filing these fraudulent liens. You know, it used to be that filing liens against officials was the only thing that was illegal, but now it's everybody in most states. For example, I know that it's everybody in California. I know that it's everybody in Colorado. I know that it's everybody in New York. I mean, there's a lot of states now that have these laws on the books that if you file a fraudulent lien, frivolous paperwork, it's considered in some places, and in other places it's an outright terroristic threat, felony charge. So it just depends on where you're located, but there are many states, well over 20 of them that I'm aware of, that have changed those regulations. But it in almost every single state is a felony against an official. She's filing liens against these officials and claiming that they do not have proper jurisdiction over her because she is an empress. All right, y'all. I just want to keep you updated on what's going on here. Sharon, Tracy, Gale, Bay. I'll link in the description the articles. I'll link in the description this video, and I will link in the description the previous video that I did showing you the news footage for this. I almost was at the point of saying, I wish I could just send her a private email and say, hey, you've got kids, man, and your kids are young. Don't do this. You're going to do a lot of damage to yourself. And in the process, you may not be realizing it now because you're deluded enough to believe that for some reason you have the right to do this according to what people have told you. But the truth is that you don't. And you're going to do damage to your children. But I know it'll fall on deaf ears. So why bother? There you go, everybody. Sharon Tracy Gale Bay calls herself a judge, a Moorish judge, and an empress. And she 100% believes that she can tell the judge in this case, who has filed 14 charges against her, to stand down. All right, everybody. I hope that this was a good update for you. I will keep you abreast of the situation as soon as I have more information on how the arraignment went, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.